Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the future of UX. I'm Patricia Reiners, your host, and in today's episode, I'm joined by the incredibly insightful Miri Lodmann, a longtime product leader at Wix, where she's been shaping tools for designers and professionals for nearly a decade now. And Mira is going to share her unique perspective on how AI has evolved inside product teams at Wix, from early and almost experimental prototypes to deeply integrated features that are now shaping the future of web design. We will dive into her journey working on one of Wix's first AI-powered tools and how the landscape has changed dramatically since then. I mean, this is what we all noticed. We also talk about what it means for designers today, like how AI is transforming creative workflows, and we talk about the shift towards strategic roles and how platforms like Wix Studio are empowering individuals to do more with less, basically. So, if you're a designer or a product thinker, or maybe just curious about how AI is reshaping digital creation, this episode is packed with a lot of amazing insights for you. And in case you want to learn more or connect with Miri or want to learn more about Wix, you will find all the links, all the resources mentioned in the description box below, so make sure to check it out. By the way, this interview and all other interviews that I did so far on the future of UX are also available on YouTube. So in case you prefer to watch the video version, you will find the link in the description box below. So grab your headphones and I would say let's explore what the future of design looks like through the lens of someone who's been building it from the inside. Welcome, Miri. I'm so happy to have you at the Future of UX. So welcome, first of all.
Thank you. Hi, Patricia. Happy to be here and excited.
So before we are diving into the topic, please do like a mini intro where you explain the listeners a little bit about your background and what you're doing.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Miri, currently a product manager. So after a few years at Intel, most of my career I spent at Wix, working for Wix. I did various roles here at Wix, and in the last about 6 years, I think, I'm focusing on product management. And in my current position, I'm leading a product management team in Wix Studio. Wix Studio is a website builder, but for professionals and designers and basically all those people who are creating websites for others as their business. And yes, I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. I think super exciting, especially from a design perspective, to seeing also how the tools are evolving. So I'm very, very excited to talk with you about the future and AI, and especially because you were at Wix for such a long time. So you went through all the phases. So I think that's super interesting to get your perspective on the future and design generally. I know that before AI was a big thing, you already prototyped, you already worked with AI. And I'm super curious to hear a little bit more about how this looked like back then, like all the prototyping and all the future visioning, basically.
Hmm. So it's a good question because basically my first experience as a product manager was on one of the first products of that were powered by AI here at Wix. It was almost a decade ago, which is a long time in terms of AI and this technology. So ADI stands for Artificial Design Intelligence. So you can guess that it was powered by AI. We created this website basically for DIY users to simplify the experience of a website creation for them. So the website was built kind of powered by AI, and users would provide some details about the business that they are owning and some preferences. And then after some kind of quick processing, they would get pretty personalized website. Working back then on such a product was, it felt very innovative AI, as you can guess, was in a very kind of early stages, very basic and naive, comparing to what we have today. So it felt kind of almost as a guerrilla kind of mode. We worked on it just by ourselves in the team, thought of kind of the details and maybe how to progress with the machine learning and what is we're going to train, and everything was kind of very initial. We didn't really know what we're doing, but we kind of tried, and I think it went pretty well. And nowadays, it is very different. We're working on many and various AI power products. And the experience is essentially different because Wix has kind of invested a lot during this decade in AI, and all the AI tools advanced tremendously. And now we have endless, I think, amounts of AI and Gen AI models, and everything is so kind of standard kind of got a really big standard here at Wix and structure, and we consume it, all these AI tools, as kind of services. And now working with AI tools is very quick and frictionless. And what we need to focus on is basically thinking about the problem. For example, just a recent product that we worked on is a visual sitemap. So we wanted to provide kind of a full structure of pages and sections that are relevant for a specific business type. So we just used AI in order to tell the business type, and AI gave us all these pages and sections. Everything was kind of already automatically done in a matter of seconds. And what we needed to focus on is just to develop the mechanism of kind of creating automatically this website with all these pages and sections. But the AI part is kind of, like quick and very, very smooth. So essentially, yes, the experience now is very different, and it's not, it is innovative, but it's not, we have so many models and so many tools we can use. It's not kind of like doing it ourselves in the garage.
I think that's fascinating, especially if you start by like prototyping these basically innovation projects where you have things, in mind, you like guerrilla test them basically, you fake a lot of things or Wizard of Oz things, and then suddenly technology becomes available and you can use them and actually build the tools that you envisioned in the past. And how is that for you? Like seeing the switch from first envisioning all these things and then seeing them in real life or building them in real life. I mean, that's pretty fascinating, right? How was that for you?
It is fascinating. I think, though, in product management, it's kind of like the feeling that we have every time we develop a product. It could be with AI, it could be with, I don't know, other technologies. It's kind of like I always laugh about it with my team, that it's kind of like we give birth, we kind of nurture, our product, we think about it, we sculpt it, and then something is out, and users we hope are happy about it, and it feels like our baby is kind of born. But it is kind of the feeling every time of releasing a product.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, for every feature that you work on, right? But I think with AI, it's a bit special because it automates so many things, and especially when it comes to like web design and interface design, I think that's super fascinating. I'm curious, like, what does your users, so people who are actually using Wix, either like do it yourself, so they're building their own websites, or maybe even designers who use Wix to design websites for their clients, how do they perceive AI and all the new features? Because I know that you have a lot of AI features nowadays.
Yes, yeah, you're right. So it is interesting how the perception of AI among us, I'm talking mostly about like designers and professionals of Wix Studio, but it is interesting how the perception of AI is changing together with the technology. So I remember, and we just talked about it not too long ago, AI was AI was kind of this tool that did some magic, maybe not too accurate, or kind of procedures that you don't control or you don't have a control over. And designers would kind of consider using, if you let's say expose the feature is done by AI. So designers would kind of perceive it as for amateurs and not for professionals. Whereas today, I think just a few months passed with the big AI explosion. We see that everybody's now using AI. It's kind of a standard, and everybody's using it, different tools and models for all sorts of aspects of their work. So it's kind of like the opposite direction now, the perception of AI. Designers, they are the first ones to kind of understand that they need to use AI, or they're using AI tools in order to kind of amplify themselves, to do the tedious work, and maybe to help with AI tools to focus on the strategy and the creative part, for example. So we see that, and we understand that in Wix Studio, and we see it in all other design platforms, AI is going to kind of to the front, because now people are willing and want to use these tools. They understand that they're going to help them rather than kind of, decrease their self-expression.
I mean, I totally agree. I'm a huge AI advocate. I think it's a game changer, especially for designers. It opens up so many opportunities, removes all the tedious tasks. So I am a huge fan, and I think it's super important to also implement AI into the tools that we are using on a daily basis. But one thing I'm super curious about, because I'm having the same discussions with my clients, is
Mhm.
how do you define what are the right AI features?
Mm.
Because that's not super easy. Of course, you can like, I don't know, like write some copy or so, but how
Mhm.
does the process at Wix looks
Mm.
like to find a great AI use case for Wix Studio, for example?
Yes, that's a great question. And I think it goes back all the time to kind of the pure product management as we try to do it here at Wix. We always try to think first of the problem. So
Mhm.
what is the problem that we want to solve for our users? And we have all sorts of problems, and some problems are hard or harder than others. So for instance, a problem like how can we help a designer to create a beautiful design for the mobile version that would be also responsive. So the designer designed the desktop, he did the creative part, but now it's like the tedious kind of mobile part. So first question is, what is beautiful? So before we try to solve these kind of problems, which is a hard problem, with let's say rules and heuristics, and to do kind of some kind of something for the user, and the results weren't that good. Now with AI, we understand that we have a good technology that would probably be able to solve such a problem in a good manner. So now we understand we have a fit. So we have a problem. We wanted to solve it, and it's a crucial one. It's a big one. We're trying to solve it all the time with different tools. But now we have a suitable tool for it, the AI. So basically, we always go in this direction. What is the problem, and what are the tools that we have? Sometimes now, in many cases, we would use AI because yes, AI got to a point where it can solve such like crazy problems and at scale. But sometimes we wouldn't select AI. Obviously, sometimes you do it in a traditional way with other tools and technologies.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. Like, start with the problem first. Unfortunately, what I'm currently seeing is that a lot of products, I think like they're just like, I don't know, putting AI on it to use it
Mm.
as like marketing, but in the end, it's not super helpful
Yeah.
for users, or like just designing a chatbot or something. And I think this definitely needs to change, that you really think about the problem and then do your user research,
Mm.
understand the user, but also the technological topics, like
Mhm.
what is AI actually capable of? Like what can it automate? How can it help you? Or what you mentioned about like make things beautiful, which is very difficult also for like non-designers,
Mhm.
like make a website look good. So it's
Mhm.
wonderful if AI can like prepare visuals or help you with the organization of the website and these kind of things.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. So when we think about, I mean, I think this is a big question that I'm always getting also on social media, so I'm curious to get your take on it. AI, or a lot of designers still think that AI is might replace them at some point, right? Because like even if you think about like building a website, before Wix Studios, and there are also some competitor who do maybe something similar, they needed to basically like design everything themselves, then code things themselves, host
Mhm.
it somewhere. So like the process was so difficult. And now things get so easy. Right? With Big Studio, for example, you basically drag and drop things together, then you host it somewhere, and then it's online. So it's like within a couple of hours, you build a website, which gets super easy. And now it gets even easier with AI. So I'm wondering, where do you see a designer, you know,
Mhm.
being involved in that process? Because I feel like now everyone can basically design websites. You don't need to be a designer anymore.
Um, So yes, that's kind of yeah, a big question that also internally we sometimes ask ourselves,
Mhm.
not just for designers, for everybody, for developers, as you said, for content writers. Um, so I believe that we as humanity, basically, we go forward and try to build for ourselves tools in order to simplify and spare us from some of the work that we do just in order to progress and be more creative and invent even more helpful products in general. From the beginning of times, that's just what happened. Every time something, a new technology came and helped humanity to progress. So I think AI is here would do the same. It would just help every profession to progress to new levels. So if we're going to code faster and design faster, it basically and better, so we can focus then on doing bigger products or bigger projects or more innovation or more interesting stuff or spare time for I don't know our daily things that we want to do. I don't think that it would go. I think maybe a new channel would be open to do kind of other design for this new AI kind of a new realm. So basically, I believe that people would now focus probably on understanding how they can leverage AI. And then
Mhm.
eventually, once it would be kind of a common toolkit, as other technologies, as web, as iPhones and smartphones, and like once it's kind of a common technology, then we go to a new phase of
Mhm.
our creativity, of our innovation, of our interest. So I think the future is bright in that sense. It's just another like a very crazy powerful tool, but it's that as other
Yeah.
tools.
I love that. I think it's super important to don't really see it as a threat, but more as an opportunity. And as you mentioned, like bringing things to a new level, like websites
Mhm.
2.0, things get more complex. I mean, we had the whole responsive design thing, and now things are like, moving also beyond like classical websites. We have voice integration at some point, we have all the
Mhm.
large language models, and like websites are also changing. I mean, this is just the beginning of a big change. So
Yes.
I think it makes total sense that also our process needs to speed up somehow, and we need to focus on other topics, as you mentioned, also like the strategic part, like talking to the clients, thinking like what is the right content, and
Mhm.
really getting those things right, which is also a big challenge. Even thinking about like what kind of text do I actually need, what are the right visuals, and then prompting AI to create those visuals. So that's
Exactly.
definitely not easy.
It's not easy, and yes, as you say, we have so many parts. you think about like a website creation is just a designer, but there are so many aspects to it. So first of all, discussing with a client and iterate about how you get the proper design. And then think about the branding if the client doesn't have a branding. And then actually to creating a website, which is just one part. And then kind of giving like the handoff of the website, which is a kind of a process by itself. And then maybe doing the marketing. So for example, we have all these kind of tools here at Wix for all these processes. It's not just the designing the website. It's not just that. So the AI, you can define and use the AI in all these processes and different AI models and completely different tools. And then you can decide where you want to focus, being in the front, being in the business, maybe be the designer, maybe be the one who is kind of doing the maintenance and always in a relationship with a client, and maybe doing the marketing. There's also, so you can understand where you want to focus and where you kind of maybe want to kind of, you be, like work hand in hand with an AI just to spare you the part maybe that you don't want to focus on. So that's also something that can be there. Sometimes people are not maybe willing to, for example, be freelancers just because they have all these work. So they can think how they can leverage AI to the parts they don't really kind of, like maybe.
I think that's such a wonderful point, right? Because it also opens up all the capabilities that you have. Maybe you used to only be able to write an offer for like designing a website. Now you can write an offer for designing the website, writing the content with AI, creating the visuals, doing the marketing, and maybe hosting it. So like a full package, basically, just one person. So I think that's wonderful, especially, I mean, I'm a freelancer myself, so I think those things are especially exciting for me to hear that you don't need a big team to build something, but you have AI basically as a partner, and your main task is to communicate with the clients, understand what they want, maybe workshop format, strategy format, where you understand what the client wants, use this, and then basically create a wonderful offer, which is also wonderful for the client, I think, in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Exactly.
I think that's so interesting to see how also design is changing and the perception of design, not just like making things pretty. I mean, we are happily not like, we moved away from that, but more into like the strategic part where you consult a client and basically guide a client from like the early start until the finished product without a big team in the background. What do you think? How does tools like Wix Studio, for example, are going to evolve? I don't know if you can share a little bit about the roadmap, but I would be so curious to understand a little bit of the things that are probably going to happen in that space.
Okay, I'll share a bit about at least our focuses. So we're going to continue and invest a lot in AI. That we know for sure. We understand that the technology is accelerating, and it can provide us, as I said, the option to solve problems we couldn't solve before. So basically, hand in hand with developing and kind of keep investing in the technology, we're going to explore how we can now try and solve these problems. We're going to explore how we can help users with the process of creating their design and with the design. We're going to explore how we can, for instance, spare all the tedious work. So we need to kind of deep dive into it and understand where is all these kind of tedious tasks and repeated things that we can spare. So we're going to explore that as well. And another thing is we're going to explore how basically along the entire process, as we kind of talked about, not just the design part, but the entire thing of actually end-to-end creating a website or an online presence for someone. um, how we can, along this process, always provide answers to questions or problems the designer kind of encounter during the process. So yes, and we're going to explore it with AI, I
And
guess.
what kind of question would this be? Like technical questions or more like strategic ones?
So all of them, basically.
Mm.
It could be technical and strategical. It could be, it's just your partner, your, as
Mm.
the partner just beside you who can kind of maybe help you to understand everything you need to know. It could be like everything, inspirational question or very detailed technical question, or how I should do something, or how, what I should do, where can I find stuff, or
Mm.
what is the best way, and teach me that and that, like everything, all sorts of, that's I think the beauty with AI. It can
Mhm.
eventually can leverage it to kind of know all sorts of levels of questions and knowledge.
So a little
So
bit like Clippy from Microsoft. I don't know if you remember like the paperclip thing. I mean,
it's,
people were not a fan, but I think still it was kind of funny to have like Clippy,
yes,
knocking on the glass.
yes, sometimes yes, it's our internal joke, like Clippy, no Clippy product. We're still exploring how would it,
Hmm.
it should be maybe less intrusive, more of a, a friend or a partner that
Hmm.
works along with you, more intuitive, more kind of human language, more, like knows a lot and not just like a specific thing, but like we'll see.
I think like you brought something super important just up, which is like the intrusiveness. And I think this was a big problem from Clippy. This like the user maybe did something wrong and then Clippy was knocking of like, hey, do you need help? And this was like super annoying. So I
Yes.
think it's all the interaction with AI is also like from a UX perspective pretty fascinating for me. Like when this AI steps in, when it recognizes that the user struggles, how this interaction looks like. Is this that the coach or the Clippy 2.0 interacts with the user, or is this more like, hey, here's a hint, do this, or something like that the user still feels in control? Are those topics that you also talk about, like how does interaction work? Because that's very difficult and we don't have a lot of like best practices or something that we can use at the moment.
So it is how we also think about it here. We're exploring a new world of experiences. The
Hmm.
experiences is changing, is different than just like if we had before that we had simply an editor and you kind of work with it, or a design platform, whatever. And now the experience would be different. What is this exactly? Like where's AI? How can it help without being intrusive, or still be present, and still feel like it give you value, and not like just like tedious.
Correcting you or so.
Exactly, correcting you. But I think this kind of questions, we always have them when we do kind of a product, because the product, if it's AI or not AI, we always think about, is it clear enough, exposed enough, not intrusive, or but still visible at the right moment, in the right place. We always think about it in terms of product and experience. So with AI, it's just another level, let's say, of thinking about it. It's not new to us. It's just another channel.
Yeah, it's still about the user, the same human being,
Mhm.
as we designed for many years, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. I think like, we shouldn't forget it. The technology is changing, but the user is still the same. I think I saw this somewhere on LinkedIn, and I was like, yeah, that's so true. It really makes sense. Yeah, still the same values, and all the psychological things that we learned are still valid for AI. So I think
Exactly, exactly.
fascinating.
Don't want to annoy the user. It was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and now.
Yeah, yeah,
Give
yeah, that's
value, give
true.
value, don't annoy it.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's always the same. What would you say, like from your perspective? There are a lot of designers currently listening to this podcast episode and wondering like how to prep for the future, what will become important. So
Mm.
from your experience, being at Wix for like 10 years, like really long time, you have seen a lot of different things from like innovation and guerrilla AI projects to like now the real integration of AI.
Mhm.
What kind of tips do you have for designers to really stay ahead and have a wonderful career and future in the next decades?
So tips, be always in the front, be curious, yeah. Try
Mm,
all these tools and technologies, try to maybe imagine the future a bit and how you do actions now that might be not kind of like your forte, but then would maybe you'll benefit just because you already kind of tried and used and progressed with. And basically, I guess be open minded and don't be scared about the technology taking your place. Try it and use it for your benefits. As we just said, just try and understand where you can kind of be more efficient just because you did it, and be more creative just because it now gives you the time and the mind space for it. Um, I guess that's our tips. That's how we see it here. We're trying here at Wix and Wix Studio always kind of think not how we are doing the product of yesterday, but how we're kind of trying to invent the product of tomorrow.
yeah.
Be in this position.
And this is, I think, you said it wonderfully. It's so important to stay curious and really stay ahead, experiment with the tools and try things out so that you can also make up your own mind about the things that are going on. So less talking, more doing. I think
Mm.
this is super important, right? Because the tools are changing, and like, even if you don't like how the tools are changing, this is how it is. You need to use it. And then, as we
Be
talked
ahead.
before, be ahead. Um,
Mhm.
and think about like how your role can change, like more strategic and all the things that you can offer now as a designer. I think it's such a fascinating time as a designer or also as a product manager. It's like everyone working in tech and product.
Mhm.
And I think it's very important to do the right things at the moment to be prepared for what's ahead of us.
Yes.
Um, so if people would like to reach out to you, connect with you, maybe they have a follow-up question, what is the best way to reach you or where can they find you?
So Miri Lodmann on LinkedIn. Also, they can reach out, I don't know, through Instagram, also Miri
Mhm.
Lodmann, and they also Facebook, whatever tool. Yeah, they prefer whatever platform.
Okay,
Um, yeah.
wonderful. Very, very exciting also to see how Wix Studio evolves. I mean, yeah, for me, super interesting. I'm like also sometimes sharing insights like what Wix Studio is doing with AI. So I think this is pretty, pretty cool. It was wonderful talking to you, getting like a little sneak peek into, yeah, how you guys are working on the future of tools. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing that. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you, Miri.
Thank you very much, Patricia. I enjoyed it as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.